Welcome to Setup's CMO Spotlight. I am here today with Alec Hanson, the Chief Marketing Officer of loanDepot.
I think sometimes we forget that you got to go in the dirt sometimes to really feel it and understand it. And I'll also kind of add into that sales. A sales background has dramatically helped me. It gives me a lot of perspective on what, our other side of our company is doing and how to support that. And honestly, I think sales is one of the best jobs anyone can do, candidly. I think you learn a ton about yourself. You learn a ton about humility. You learn a ton about how to find different ways to battle through hardship and adversity. So I feel like that is, creates a tenacity in another side of the thing. So I think that playing in the dirt and actually doing it yourself and then getting some kind of sales background somehow can be really advantageous. I have a joke about mine. It's irrational self-confidence. And the way that developed, though, over time was, it's a little bit of human growth story. I was heavily bullied growing up. And so a lot of people may have had that experience, and it's not fun. I realized that everything's made up and that people don't really care. And if you can find a way to be your authentic self, there's a lot of freedom in that. And I've found a way to get as close to that as I can. And it's a journey, not a destination. But that's allowed me to embrace my nerdy side. It's allowed me to be more comfortable in my skin. It's allowed me to put myself into positions of vulnerability, like doing content out on the internet, because I have less concern how other people view me and more concern about trying to be helpful to the people I want to be helpful to. And so that kind of irrational self-confidence has helped me help others. Perspective. I think that we get caught up in a lot of what life throws at us and a lot of the daily stresses and a lot of the life stresses and corporate stresses and all those things that come at us. But when you can really land back on perspective, you can find a lot of strength to do what needs to be done or to get through your day. It's great because we're so caught up in our own stuff that we forget that everyone else is caught up in their stuff. They don't really care about your stuff. They're not paying attention to you. And there's a lot of freedom in that. And so perspective, I think, is a great, tool to fall back on. I love leaders that lead from the front and are first into the breach, so to speak, kind of leaders who are not just telling you to go somewhere or do something, but who are doing it alongside you. And I mentioned that in the dirt kind of concept earlier, but they're practitioners too. And they don't think they're right. They're just here to learn alongside you what is right. And they value your opinion the same way they value their own. So I really like leaders like that. But I also really value humility and empathy in leaders, which is really hard. A lot of times, a lot of people who are leaders came up and experienced a lot of success. So they're like, well, I've done this, so just do what I did. But having the empathy to kind of go, well, maybe things are different now, and maybe I need to learn something new, and maybe things are changing. I come from a very long sales background, and in sales, it's results. You show me the bottom line and, you're either on the top or the middle or the bottom of the sales results. And then as I became, grew up in my career there, it was all P&L management and, execution. So I definitely have a hard lean towards, the performance of certain things. And I do believe that brand marketing can have an angle of performance marketing built into it that you can measure. And it's never going to be the same as, it's not the same thing as performance marketing where you spend, X and want a return of Y, but I feel they're more connected than ever. And social media is a great example because you get such immediate, incredible feedback from social media almost instantly on branding efforts. And if people like that, it turns into opportunities, and those are measurable and trackable. So I don't know, I think the world's converging. We really started getting active on social through consumer education. There's a huge drop off of a cliff in terms of educating consumers on mortgage product and what's out there. And there's a lot of misconceptions. And so we were having a ton of interaction through direct messaging on these platforms. And in my head, I was like, you know what, we need to quickly get this over to our landing page to convert into leads, so we can take the next step. My sales brain is like, let's get it going. The second we stood up landing pages to assist this, the engagement disappeared. And the immediate learning was like, well, of course they didn't want to go to a landing page and put their information in and turn into a meat grinder. Of course they didn't want that. They wanted to talk to somebody right now, this second, while they're on their phone. And we took that out of the equation. And so it was an obvious aha moment now that I look back, because the second that we went back to just human interaction over direct messaging, the engagement ran back up again. But it was a clear reminder of, like, don't think you know it all. And I think that's a trap a lot of, marketing executives fall into, because they have deep experience. And so like, well, this is how the world works. It's just changing so rapidly that you have to be a student of your own experience in real time. And then you can learn from that and adapt. I admire different things about different brands. I absolutely love Apple's brand. I think they've done an incredible job, solidifying themselves. I love Nike. I just think it's iconic, and I wear Nike shoes, and I love all that stuff. But little things like Liquid Death is a hysterical brand. What they've done is just, it makes me laugh. And I'm like, you know what? They're living their truth. It's hysterical. And I wouldn't want to work there. I don't have a personal connection to that, but I really admire, what they've done in their space to carve that out. Red Bull has done such incredibly unique, fun things that I'm just and I think their product is not good for humans, but I'm so impressed with what they've done. So, that's just some examples of it's just fun to be inspired by some great minds that have done great things that live on, in our hearts and minds.